I'm Annette Marie, and I'll be the host with Behind the Mirror with Annette Marie. And we're going to start out with a New Year's workshop. I am super excited to work through some of the strategies that I've worked through since 2019 to create a life that I just love being in and facing those things, the self sabotaging behaviors that are holding us back, or maybe sometimes it's things that are out of our control, but it's my focus is going to be to help you control the controllables. And this strategy has really helped me set my years up for success, especially the last 5 years. And so I would love to bring these strategies to you to help you to create a life that you love being in. First of all, I will introduce myself, who I am, and a little bit about my story. So I grew up in Forest Lake, Minnesota, which is just north suburb of St. Paul, about 20 minutes in Minnesota. And I grew up in a very loving home. I was the second of 4 children with an awesome mom and dad. I did experience some childhood trauma that was from an extended family member, and that ended up leading me to a life of self-destruction because I did not know how to cope with the shame and the guilt that I felt from experiencing that trauma. And so as a teenager, as you can imagine, I was super rebellious, and I fell into experimenting with drugs and alcohol and boys and all the destructive behaviors that you can imagine. And luckily, in my the late teenage years, my only goal and dream that I ever had was I wanted to be a hairstylist. I really looked up to my auntie, who was a hairstylist, and I wanted to be just like her. And so I was in hair school as a junior in high school, and I graduated not even a year after graduating high school. And it's when I finally became good at school, because actually I really struggled in school, and I then didn't apply myself to school. And so getting through and graduating was just like such a blessing within itself. So then to get through hair school so fast and be out into my career, it's actually what got me out of the self-destructive behaviors and the addictions that I was falling into. I was addicted to some pretty hardcore drugs, and I was lucky. One day I just had an epiphany of, if I want to have a better life, I can't be engaging in this behavior. And I had to cut ties with a lot of the people that I was hanging out with, and the people who used to be my friends had cut ties with me because they didn't want to hang out with somebody on drugs. So it was like a very lonely time in my life, because I had to kind of get through that by myself quietly. And that was definitely really hard. However, my other friends ended up coming back around, and I'm not going to say I was totally sober or dealing with life perfectly by any means, but I had gotten out of the lifestyle of hard drug use, and so that was really good. And then fast forward 1 year, and I ended up becoming a very young mother, and it ended up being the best thing for my life, because I got to experience for the first time what true unconditional love looked like. And I never loved a job so much as raising my 2 boys, and it's what I live for. However, I still didn't work on my coping skills. I still look back and wish I could have even been a better mother to them, because I had so much healing left to do. And so anyways, through the years in my 20s, I did the best I could, and I was very, very there for my children and loved them very, very much. But I was still, at the end of the day, I would busy myself and all the busyness, and at the end of the days, I would cope with having wine, and on the weekends, it was all about the drinking and the partying, and I felt like I was making up for missing out on my young 20s. For a lot of my 20s, I think I was engaging in super self-destructive behaviors and not hanging out with people that were really like looking to move further in their lives. And it was in my young 30s that I had been blessed to move from salon to salon, and I had moved to a salon that um, I loved all the women through the years that I've worked with. But this particular salon I was working in, it seemed like God kept coming up, and people were um, making a mess of their lives and then finding a faith that helped them get through. And I started getting curious and started talking to people. And it was then in my young 30s where I found that personal relationship with God through devotions and personal development. And then I found a church that eventually took all the shame and all the guilt that I'd felt for all those years and just kind of took it away. And it was like Jesus just put it on his back. And I can't explain it to you, but it was the most freeing thing. And it was the place that I needed to get to where God could finally start healing little areas of my life and start lifting me up. And it's okay if you don't believe in God, or it's okay wherever you're at with your faith. That's not what this is about. This is my story, though, and I can't leave that part out because no part of where I'm at could have I done without that part of my life. So I'm just sharing that with you because that was the catalyst in my life that led to my life getting cleaned up. So then I had become then I started renting my own chair, which was my ultimate dream, was just renting my own chair. I felt like to me that was success, and I couldn't wait to pick my own hours and run my own business. And not before long did I realize that my business was running me, and I had absolutely no boundaries because I am to the core a people pleaser and I want to make everyone happy. And doing that, I realized I was not being there for my family, and I could have worked 24/7 double booked for 10, 12, 14-hour days, and it still wouldn't have been enough. And I mean, I was super grateful to be in that position, that I was able to grow, especially those years during a recession. That was, I mean, looking back, I was so naive to how awesome that truly was to be in that position. But I had no boundaries, and I was making money, but I was totally burnt out as a stylist. I wasn't able to be home with my kids, and it was when I had finally moved into a studio, which happened in 2018. I had experienced great loss in my life, and I had a really dear child in my life suffer the devastations of cancer, and I needed to be in a place where I had peace because the reality of life really hit me hard. And so it was, and then that was where my studio um, came became born. And that has been one of the highlights of my life, is learning to just dive in and run a studio has helped me get the business skills. You know, you're not taught in hair school any kind of business skills. So I have gone through courses and worked through business stuff, and I've done the personal development to be the best person I can be for my clients. And hopefully I always offer them good advice that is wise advice for their lives, because I love hearing people's stories and I love helping people. I'm not into needing to know the gossip, or that's just not my style, but I am super focused and love when someone comes to me with a problem, being solution based and how can we move forward. And I've learned that as much as I love making people look beautiful, I love even more helping them feel beautiful, and to understand that they are such a gift that God made that's just waiting to be opened up. And God molds us through all of our imperfections. It's not through the things that have happened to us or the things that we've done, because I can tell you in my messy life, I have done things that I am so not proud of, and I thought those things disqualified me. And I learned that they're the exact things that qualify me. I don't think God calls the qualified. I think He qualifies the called. And I am learning that through all the things that I've been through, He's taking all of that pain and He's turning into my purpose. That is my purpose in life. It is where I can connect with people, I can understand. So when you come to this podcast, or to do my workshops, or to do coaching with me, don't feel like you have to be put together or your life needs to be in order. Come as the mess you are, because I can tell you I have been there, and that is my whole point for sharing my story. It's not, I don't want any sympathy. I am super grateful that everything that I've been through, because I definitely believe in that life happens for us, not to us, and all the things and all the people and all the hard things that I've worked through, God has used for me in my life to develop me and to build the skills that I've needed to help me create a life I love being in. And I also have learned through this journey that a rich lifestyle is not a financial thing. It is not. I mean, I can help you with money, and I can help you with business, and I'm telling you, like, yes, money can help you live in a more peaceful life. So don't get this twisted. However, if you are living chasing money, you're going to miss out on, if you lose your relationships, or you're not spending the time how you want to spend your time, at the end of your life, you're not taking any of your money with you. And the impact that you left in this world and how you made people feel are the only things that matter at the end of your life. So anyways, I just wanted to share, that's a little bit about me, but this is not going to be about me. I do think that during this course, or this workshop, I'm going to use examples of my life for you, but this is all about you and you dreaming up a life that you love being in. So let's get started. Okay, so this first day is on reflection, and this isn't going to be too long of a day or exercise, but I do want us to skim it, because I do think it's important to know where we've been, because otherwise I think we can make plans and goals and dreams and move forward without addressing some areas of our life and just kind of ignoring them and skimming past them and not really working through the things that we need to work through. And the result of that is going to be next year, you're going to be in the same spot that you are right now, which is what I am trying to help you work past. We're not going to dwell in it. We're not going to make ourselves feel bad about any of it. Don't even judge yourself on any of it. I just want you to ask yourself these questions and reflect on, is this an area that I could do better in? Is this something that's bringing joy to my life? Or does this area need work? And just grab a pen and paper and journal it or put it in your planner so that you have this available. I do believe, I heard an analogy one time and it was awesome, of reflecting as like looking in your rearview mirror, and looking out the windshield is like looking at the future. And the rearview mirror is very small, very, very small. So we don't need to focus too much back there, but we do need to know where we've been so we know where we're going. And so it's kind of a safety thing, right? So I just want you to kind of think of that analogy of, we're going to get into the dreaming and the planning, and that's going to be the very fun part. But let's just take a minute or an hour and look at our last year and do some reflecting. And in this exercise, this is going to be more of you working on this after or during this video. You can hit pause anytime you want to if you want to work through them in real time as I ask you these questions. But I want to start just, you can do the last year, or you can do your life if you want to. That's a pretty cool exercise too, to go through your life and realizing those things that you need to work through. So this is a totally personal thing, and it's all on what you need. But let me just give you some ideas that might spark some interest in you to be able to reflect and be able to really recognize and face those things that we need to face to move forward. So I'm going to tell you from the perspective of the last year though. So in the last year, I want you to look through all your photos to start with and look at the experiences you had and with who. I think this is a really fun exercise. I have so much fun because I have really bad ADHD, so my memory is not very good. And so when I do this exercise, I think it's really fun because it sparks up the energy or the memories. And I want you to put energy into, did those experiences spark joy? Which ones do you want to repeat again? Which ones do you not want to repeat again? And just become reflective of being back in those times and of your photos. And then the next place that I want you to go back and reflect on is your calendar. Where did you spend your time? What did you spend your time on? What habits did you do? And how do you feel like they helped your life? Rate them from 1 to 10 and just reflect on your calendar of the things that you did and didn't do. Just take note of that. We're going to work with that later, but I do want you to take note of where you spent your time and how those areas make you feel. And then I want you to skim through your bank statements. And you don't have to spend a ton of time here, and it doesn't need to take very long, but just skim through, where did you spend your money? Where are those areas that you're going to want to spend your money this next year? Or is that was there things that you're like, this was wasteful spending and these areas need to be cut? Just become aware. Again, we're not judging ourselves. We're not going to make ourselves feel bad. I just want you to bring awareness to yourself of where you're at in these areas. And then when you look at your pictures, your calendar, and your money, what were your highlights and what were your lowlights? I think it's really fun to it's fun and productive to really recognize what good things are you grateful for. And gratitude is such a great practice, and even if it's not stuff you're going to bring into the next year, you can be grateful for all the things, the good and the bad. So what were the highlights? What were the lowlights? What were the wins and successes, and what were the lessons? I don't believe there's failures. I believe there's a lesson in everything. And just changing your mindset to what were the lessons that you had to learn this year, and recognizing that, so that the hard things or the bad things that you went through, what can you learn from them? And then where was your heart at? So the best place to look at that is going to be when you're reflecting on your time and your money. Those are two mirrors for you to really know where we spend our time and where we spend our money. Are those in alignment with your priorities? So I think that was a very eye-opening thing for me, because for a long time I would say my priorities were my family first, but I was actually putting work first, and that was a hard thing to adjust. But it can feel really confusing when you're thinking that you want to grow a career and you want to be successful. But I promise you, if you're not spending your time and your money on your priorities, it's actually going to prevent you from having the rich life that you want. And like I had addressed earlier, a rich life or a wealthy life is not just financially, but I do promise if you focus in these other areas, the successes and the money in your business will come. So you're going to have to trust the process and trust me on that one. But I do want you to do a heart check and just, where did you spend most of your time and most of your money this year? And was it in alignment with your priorities? Look at it through that lens. And then I want you to look at who was in your inner circle this year. Are the people in your lives living a life that you admire, you look up to, and a life that you want? Or are they living a life that you're like, dang, oh, shoot, um, they're not looking to move forward, and this is important to me. And you know what? It's never that you don't love these people. I have people in my life that I have had to either turn the volume down on their microphone of what I was letting them speak into my life, or maybe I'm not spending my time with them. But I would still be there for them in a minute, and they would still be there for me in a minute. But we just have different, we want different things in life. And so you just got to be intentional about who you're giving your time and your energy to. The energy piece was something that I had never considered before. Of your people are either energy fillers or energy suckers, and if you're around suckers all day, you're not going to have the energy to invest your time into the life that you want. So it's not just time, it's energy. And sometimes too, it's, you know, everyone has a microphone, and you have to decide how loud or soft you're going to allow their microphone to be in your life. You know, if they're not living a life that you want to have, or we'll go through the different areas of your life. But I think just becoming aware of those things, and watch what people do. People's actions are way more important than their words. So don't judge, and I'm not telling you to judge anybody, but I am telling you, you need to become aware of who you are giving your time and your energy to, because it will reflect the life you're living. And if you want to move forward in your life, and you have people that keep dragging you down, it's kind of like the lobsters or the crabs, and they just keep pulling each other back into the bucket. Your friends or your family might be doing that, and I definitely have had people in my life like that. And you just have to get intentional and set boundaries around that, and we will work on that. That's a totally different workshop. But right now, I just want you to become aware. Okay, that's all we're doing. We're not judging. We're not better than anybody. We're not as good as somebody else, because maybe it's something like that where you're feeling not as good as someone that's in your group, and maybe you need to level up, and admire what they do, and take note of what they're doing to how they got to where they are. You know, sometimes we can also compare, and I think comparing is the thief of joy. Like, it will steal your joy. So when there's something about somebody else that you admire, what are they doing, and take note and learn from them. So but I want you to look at this from a humble perspective, because we're not, like, no one's more important than anybody, but you do have to look at the fruit that people are producing, to be wise in who you're hanging out with regularly, who you're listening to regularly. That is something that you do need to become aware of if you want a better life. And yeah, there's going to be people that you're going to turn down their microphones in your life, and some people you're going to turn up the microphone. Some people fill you, and some people drain you, and it's just becoming aware of those things. And I'm not telling you to cut anybody out, because you never know who you might be in their life to inspire them. So that it's not a matter of thinking or being better than anybody, but it is becoming aware. That is a real thing that we need to pay attention to. Then the next thing I want to know, what are you consuming, or what is consuming you? I think this is a huge thing, especially the state that our world has been in, that has divided us. And I really, really hope that we can get into a place where we can be united again. And I promise this isn't getting political. I feel like my heart breaks with how hateful and ununited, where we're wishing ill on other people that don't think like us, and that breaks my heart, and I'm pretty sure it breaks God's heart. So what are you consuming? Because the media, if you're consuming media, whether it's TV, social media, they make money on dividing us. So I I just listened to something the other day that was talking about Time magazine, how back in the 80s they posted mostly positive things. And they realized that negativity and fear and hate sells more, and that's what they sell us now. And that's on your news. That's on your, I mean, watch the news. After I heard that, I watched the news and I couldn't believe how much, um, like, what they were reporting is a really sad thing, but it was like hopelessness and despair, and everything was going to stay bad forever was the lens. And I was like, oh my gosh, no wonder why we're feeling so hopeless as a society. This is what people are consuming themselves with. And I actually, to be honest, I shut the news off long time ago. I do not consume myself. I might do a current affairs check, like state of the world, at least once a week. I get my media in other ways through different emails that I trust through, and they're non-biased opinions, because I think that there's corruption on both sides. Like I said, this is not a political thing, but I am just telling you that the worst thing we can do is be divided. We have to find common ground, and we have to start loving each other, but also becoming aware. What are you consuming? Because social media also, they will feed you what they know you already believe. So they're not challenging your beliefs at all. You're getting fed validating information that validates what you already think. You're not growing there. You're gonna go, oh, see, I was right. See, I was right. And there's that's only causing more hate and more division in your heart for the other side, or somebody who thinks differently than you. And I think there's room for all of us. So, and I believe through talking with people and having clients on both sides of the aisle, we are so much more alike, and there is so much good in both sides, and the people that I know from both sides, that we have to stop thinking it's us versus them, because I promise you, people are way more good than they're not. So anyways, that is my political rant, but I'm not gonna, this isn't supposed to be about politics. It's just that is such a huge thing that I feel like I can't ignore it either, because it will keep you. I have had years that has kept me back, because I get in such a state of fear of worrying about how people are going to affect my days, and it can be crippling, is I think the word that I would use for that. So I think becoming aware of that is really important. What are you consuming? What is it doing from you? Is it holding you back? What do you need to turn off? Maybe do a detox. That was one of the coolest things I did in August, because everything politically was really getting heated up, and from August through September, I did a social media detox. Oh my gosh, it brought me so much peace, and I highly recommend it. And turn off the news, because until you take responsibility for your life, no president's coming here to save you. No one's going to save you more than you can save yourself. You need to focus on you. You need to focus on your actions. You need to focus on what's going on in your house. You need to focus on your behaviors. We have become such a society that we look at all the outside sources as the reason we can't do things to make our lives better. And the truth is no one is coming to save you. You have got to look at these things, and we are going to save ourselves. We're going to focus on the behaviors of making our lives better, making our families healthier, and we have to focus within. You can point the finger all day long, and that isn't going to help your household one bit. Yes, the president matters, and there are things out in the world that it matters that we know what's going on. But in the big picture, like, think of on your deathbed, big picture, what matters is you, your actions, your families, and just getting your priorities and your perspectives in the right place is super important. So if a social media detox or a news detox is in order for you, I do highly recommend you become at least aware of that, so you can control these other areas of your life. Um, and then I want to now get into those different areas of our life. So the first area that I want you to look at is your health, because if you lose your health, you are not going to have a wealthy life in any kind of way. So that is a promise. So you need to make sure, and I'm sorry to say you need to, but you do. So you need to look at your diet, your exercise, your physical fitness, and what you're fueling your body with, and just put a little grade. Don't judge yourself. This is not about being skinny either. So many years I focused on that, and it actually held me back from doing some pretty awesome things because I didn't have the confidence, because I didn't feel like I was skinny enough. And that's not what health is. Health is energy. I've been coaching someone who I'm super excited. She has the most healthy perspective on being healthy, and she just wants the energy to be with her kids. And diets and all this bad stuff, it can actually rob us of our energy, which isn't healthy if you're not energized to do the things, right? So I want you to just think of the actual foods you're putting in your body. Are they nourishing and good for you, or are they not? You know, we all know what we need to do. We all know what's good for us. Are we checking labels? Are we eating as whole foods as possible? And are we moving our bodies? We are made to move our bodies. But also in the health category is your emotional and mental health. That is a huge thing right now. We have, as a society, isolated, and we have really gotten in our heads, and I think we've never been as emotionally and mentally unhealthy as a society as we are now. So I just take a check on that area of your life, and if there's something you need to do about that, we will focus that on a future. But just take inventory right now. And then your spiritual health. I have told you I believe in God. I don't know what you believe in, and what you believe in is totally fine. But do you believe in something bigger than yourself? I think in the world, especially we live in right now, if we're trying to do it on our own power, and we're going to fall. So I don't even know how you do that. If you do, you must be a really strong person. But for me, it's God, and I know I kind of was like, well, nothing else is working, so I'm just gonna give this a shot, and it's the only thing that I know to tell you that has actually worked for me to um, really grow my life into a healthy place. So, but spiritually, whatever that looks like for you, that's great. But how is your spiritual health? And maybe it's non-existent for you, and put a 0 there. And then maybe that's something you just want to explore yourself. Like, no judgment. Again, don't judge yourself on that. But I do challenge you to explore that area of your life and try some things, and do your own research and build your own relationship with your God or your faith or whatever it is for you. And then your habits and your rituals. I do believe that the habits and rituals of how we start and end our days, and like just like our money habits and our like I covered your health habits, and what are those habits and rituals you have in your life? And sometimes those habits and rituals are going to be things that we need to let go of. Do you have some self-sabotaging ones? So just, again, don't judge yourself, but take inventory. Where are you there, and where could you get better in that area of your life of habits and rituals? And because one thing I will tell you too is you might, I don't know, you might be in a place of crisis right now, but if you're not, your habits and rituals, I will tell you from going through some horrible periods of my life of horrible loss, and I don't know how I would have gotten to the other side without my habits and rituals. For me, that looks like my morning devotions, my journaling, my meditating, my praying, my walks, and being physically fit, and those things got me through really hard times. So if you're not in a place that um, you feel like you're in a crisis or nothing bad is happening in your life or whatever, start developing those, because eventually life is going to slap you in the face at some point or another. We all go through things, and having those in place first is going to be very important, so that when you face hard things, you can handle them. And then I'm going to also say, if you are in that place right now, I'm really, really sorry. And I just encourage you, grab a journal and start praying and start just talking to God like He's your best friend, because it's amazing how healing that can be. Or go on walks with God. I've been doing my walks with God this year every single day, and it's been the most amazing thing that a friend told me that she did last year that I wanted to adopt into my life this year, and I haven't missed a day, and it has been so healing. I have so much peace that nobody can take away from me. It's truly amazing. So anyways, whatever habits and rituals are important to you, I want you know what those are, and if you don't, we'll have upcoming stuff of like some things that have worked for me. So we'll dig deeper into that later on in the workshops. But I do just want you to take inventory of that. And then your financial health is the last piece of health that I want you to take inventory of. So where are you financially? Are you in debt? Do you have financial peace? Do you need a better savings account? Just take inventory. Again, don't be hard on yourself. We're just taking inventory so we can know where we're at in all these areas, and then we will get to dream and move forward in the future workshop. So in your house, I'm just going to go back over it. You're going to judge your diet. Don't judge. Sorry. Grade, rate. We're not judging ourselves. On our diet and our exercise, our emotional and mental health, our spiritual health, our habits and rituals, and then last, your financial health. And then I want you to take inventory now of your relationships. So this is super important because if your relationships are bad, that can definitely affect the other areas of your life, and just take inventory and become aware of this. So how about your marriage? Let's start there. I think it's one of the most important earthly relationships that we have. So rate your marriage 1 to 10, and just become aware where you're at there. How about your relationships with your children? Where is that at? Is that really, really good? Do you feel like you have an open relationship? They can come to you? Is it a 10? Just reflect and rate that. And then how about your relationship with your parents and your siblings and your immediate family? The family that we were born with. What are those relationships like? And then your extended family and your friends. What are those relationships like? Now, I'm not telling you all of these people. You don't have to have like immaculate relationships with everybody, because again, some people aren't going to be healthy for you. So just rate yourself. Are these relationships where you want them to be? Maybe some people in your extended family don't get to have a say or a seat at your table, and that is sometimes the healthiest thing you can do. So I'm not encouraging you to do that, but sometimes if you've tried and you've tried and you've tried, and these people just bring you down or keep you down to where they're comfortable having you, like, you might have to have a safe distance to be able to have a loving relationship with them. So just rate it, just become aware of it. And then how about your coworkers? Because those are people that you see on a regular basis, and some of this too is just owning our part in things. We can't control what other people do, but we can always control ourselves. So your coworkers, are you getting along with them? Is there a conversation maybe that you could have that could repair something that needs to be repaired? Just take note of it. Take inventory of it. We'll do the planning later on. And then I want you to take a look at your business and your career area of your life. Is that where you want it? Are you happy and lit up to go to work every day? Is it draining you? Are you living into your purpose of it? And you know what? Sometimes our business and career isn't our purpose. Sometimes it's two separate things, and that's totally okay. Um, so I want you to take inventory of that. Are you living into your purpose? Is that part of your business? Is that a separate thing? Um, I have my business and I love being a hairstylist, but I also have a purpose where hurting people breaks my heart. And I love going down and working in the inner city and connecting with people who are struggling. And then I also spend a couple times a month with their kids and just loving on them and sharing Jesus with them. So that is more in alignment with my purpose. So this can be two separate things. But I do believe that to feel fulfilled, we need to have a purpose. So if your full purpose isn't in your job, and maybe that's a zero for you then, and maybe this year we're going to do some exploring to see where are some areas that you can fit your purpose into your life. We will talk more about that. I have some awesome ideas for that, but we'll talk more about that later. Okay, and then the other two are kind of fun. So your environments, are they environments that you walk into the room and you feel peace? And this can be your home, this can be your bedroom, this can be your office, this can be your vehicle. Are they areas that you walk into and you feel peace, or is there some decluttering and maybe some organizing and decorating that you could do to make those spaces places you love being in? I know different times in our lives it's different, because I remember when the kids were little and I had two boys, so I felt like everything was always a disaster, and then I have ADHD on top of it, so my organization skills guys, that's not a natural thing for me at all. But now that things are less chaotic and I'm able to get a handle on some of those things, I'm really excited to that's some of the things that I'm going to be able to do this year. Is just like, I don't have a lot of clutter. I've actually done really good with clutter, but making the spaces in my home, I love my space in my studio, but making the spaces in my home a little more environments that just have my touch on the walls. So I'm excited to do some decorating and some DEI projects because I've noticed that I really do, and the studio helped me realize that I love creating spaces that I love being in. Okay, and then the last one, fun, recreation, and joy. So can you rate the fun, the recreational, and the joy, the experiences that you have in your life? Maybe you have lots of really great experiences and you're full of joy in that area, and you're constantly having something to look forward to, but maybe you're not. And so just take inventory. We will come up with all the dreaming in that area as a part of this workshop, but I do want you to take inventory, and that is super important. It's important for our mental health, to be honest with you. That will go back to our health, because it's so good to work hard and do things for others in our purpose and stuff, but we also need things that fill us back up. So and that is through different things, habits and rituals, but it is important to incorporate fun and experiences with our loved ones back into our life to fill our souls back up. So I hope this first day was super helpful for you to do some reflecting and take some inventory. And that's all we're going to be doing, to looking in the rearview mirror. Now we will be focusing through the windshield. But it is important to look in the mirror and take a check of like where we're at, so that we can then kind of dream on where we want to go. So I hope you love this, and I love spending my time with you. So thank you so much for tuning in.